Welcome to the sixth video in preparation for the, let's see here, there we go, in preparation for the dual enrollment theory entrance exam. For some reason, my computer is being stupid again. Okay, maybe not, maybe a little bit. All right, forgive me everyone. Technology is not perfect. All right, I can deal with that. Maybe I'll scoot it over just a little bit more. There we go. All right, my apologies again. For this video, we're going to focus on ascending intervals. Intervals are just the distance between two notes, and ascending means I give you a note on the bottom and ask you to determine an interval above that note. All right. For intervals, there are numbers and there are qualities. All right. For the quantities, for the numbers, you're going to have seconds, thirds, fourths, fifths, sixths, sevenths, and octaves. It's possible to have ninths and tenths as well. And I guess we could also say that there is a unison, okay? For those intervals, that's the quantities. For the qualities, there's going to be major, minor. There's going to be, let's do it this way. There's going to be major, minor, augmented, or diminished, or there's going to be perfect, augmented, and diminished. Here's what I mean by those types of things. Some of these intervals over here in the leftmost column of your screen are called major or minor intervals, and some are called perfect intervals. Let's start with your perfect intervals first, all right? Without worrying about the extended intervals like the ninths, tenths, elevenths, and everything, let's just take the intervals inside of an octave. Your unison, fourths, fifths, and octaves, those are going to be called your perfect intervals. That means that in their normal state, they are what's called perfect. A perfect fourth, a perfect fifth, a perfect eighth, a perfect unison. If you were to lower the perfect fourth, it would become diminished. If you were to raise the perfect fourth, it would become augmented. All right? Please remember that those intervals, unisons, fourths, fifths, and octaves, can only be perfect, augmented, or diminished. Okay? The other intervals, seconds, thirds, sixths, and sevenths, I'm going to call those for right now. And when I say I'm going to call them that, that's not really a term that's widely used in music theory. But I think if you think of it that way, it's going to be a good way of getting through this entrance exam. Here's what I mean by that. That means in their normal state, in their native habitat, seconds, thirds, sixths, and sevenths are major. That means if you raise a major a half step, it becomes augmented. If you lower a major, it becomes minor. If you lower it twice, it becomes diminished. Do you see the difference here? But that the perfect intervals can only be raised or lowered to diminished and augmented. The majors can be raised to augmented, but they can be lowered twice to minor and to diminished. This column here needs to be embedded into your brain. Unisons, fourths, fifths, and eighths are going to be your perfect intervals. Seconds, thirds, sixths, and sevenths are going to be your major intervals. Let's take down here your D major scale. Do it on your own, please. Push pause if you need to. Your D major scale, D natural, has two sharps in it, F sharp and C sharp. Here's what I mean by that. If I were to ask you for a major third above D, it would be 1, 2, 3, an F sharp, because a third in its natural state is major. If I were to ask you for a major third above D, it would be an F sharp. If I were to ask you for a minor third above D, you would take the major and lower it a half step to F natural. If I were to ask you for a diminished third above D, you would take F sharp and you would lower it twice, F natural, F flat. If I were to ask you for an augmented third above D, you would take F sharp and you would raise it a half step to F double sharp. Intervals are an extension of the key signature. You cannot determine intervals without first knowing the key signature for the note that you're given. Okay? You take the key signature for the note you're given, you see how that interval wants to behave in its native state, and then you make adjustments. Okay? Let's do some here and put it in practice. If I were to give you E flat and ask you for a perfect fifth above E flat, step one, what is the key signature for the bottom note? In this case, the key signature for E flat is 3 flats, B flat, E flat, and A flat. Number two, you employ the key signature to the interval. So for E flat, I'm going to go up a fifth, E flat, F, G, A to B. And I'm going to employ the key signature so that it becomes B flat. In 3, you adjust from its normal state. How is a fifth supposed to behave? A fifth is supposed to behave as a perfect fifth. So therefore, if I ask you for a perfect fifth, I'm basically asking you, what is the fifth scale degree? If I were to ask you for a diminished fifth above E flat, I would take that B flat and lower it 1 to B double flat. If I were to ask you for an augmented fifth above E flat, I would take that B flat and I would raise it to a B natural. Because perfect intervals can only be perfect, diminished, or augmented. You take the key signature for the bottom note, you employ that to the interval, and then you adjust it from its normal state. Let's take the first two. I'm trying to scoot up here. It's a little bit less than ideal. Hold on, guys. There we go. Let's do it right here. I'm going to ask you for a diminished fifth above F sharp. Let's do this one together. What is your key signature for F sharp major? Push pause if you need to. The answer is 6 sharps: F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp, A sharp, and E sharp. You employ that to the interval. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How should C behave in the key of F sharp? It should behave as a C sharp. C sharp is a perfect fifth above F sharp, but I'm being asked for a diminished fifth, so I'm going to change C sharp to C natural. Does that make sense? I first employ it, and then I adjust it from how it wants to behave. If I were to ask you for G major or G natural, a augmented fourth above G natural. What is your key signature for G major? 1 sharp. Employ that to a fourth above. How should C behave? It should be a natural. Okay? The fourth behaves as a perfect interval. So there, that's just the fourth scale degree. That's a perfect fourth. I'm asked for an augmented fourth. Now it's an augmented fourth. There's no such thing as asking for a major fourth or a minor fourth or a major augment or a major fifth or minor fifth or a major octave or a minor octave, because those can only be perfect. If I were to ask you for a perfect third, that can't exist because those are your major intervals and those can only be major, minor, augmented, or diminished. If I were to ask you for a major third above A flat, what is the key signature for the bottom? Key signature for A flat is 4 flats. A third above it is C. How should C behave in the key of A flat? It should be a natural. C natural is a major third above A flat. I'm asked for a major third above A flat, so therefore that's my answer. If I were to be asked for a minor third above A flat, what's the key signature for the bottom? 4 flats. Employ that interval. C natural, because C is a natural in the key, in the scale for A flat. But the third is major, and I'm asked for minor, so I lower it by a half step. C flat is a minor third above A flat. Okay? Does everybody, I hope you understand here. You take the key signature for the bottom, you figure out how should that interval behave, and then you adjust. You take the key signature, how should that interval behave, and then you adjust. Let's do some on your own. Get out a blank sheet of staff paper. Oops, sorry. Let me get rid of that sharp. I'm not sure why it's doing that. All right, determine, please, these intervals. Push pause now. Here's your answers, and I'd like to talk through these. Make sure you've pushed pause and you've already finished all these so you can just get the answers. The key signature for A is 3 sharps. E, a fifth above, should behave as a natural. The fifth is perfect, but I'm asked for augmented. So a perfect fifth above A is E natural, and augmented is E sharp. Augmented third above C is E sharp. Minor third above D flat is F flat. Minor sixth above A flat is G flat. A major 7 above D is C sharp, because again, a seventh should be sharp. So I just employ the key signature. A diminished fourth above E flat is A double flat. Let's do some more on your own. This will be in the treble clef. There we go. Push pause now. Do these answers on your own. All right, on number 1, I'm asked for a diminished seventh. A seventh above F should be E natural, because that's the key signature, right? The key signature for F is 1 flat. Therefore, E should behave as a natural. The seventh behaves as major. So in order to turn it diminished, I have to lower it twice, E flat, E double flat. A diminished seventh above F is E double flat. A major sixth above G, there's your sixth. A sixth is already major, so therefore I just use the key signature. Diminished fifth above A, there's your fifth. A perfect fifth above A is E, because, again, a fifth functions as perfect. Its native state is perfect. And so, to make perfect diminished, I lower it to there. Minor third, minor second, major seventh.